make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. Tonight, Friday night, you know how we do. We let our hair down. We have a good time. And as y'all notice, I'm only streaming on YouTube tonight. I'm not streaming on Facebook. I don't know if y'all can share this or what have you, but y'all make sure y'all share, send the link out so we can get some conversation going tonight. Tonight, we're talking about why do people of color tend to base their life on tradition? And that can be a lot of conversation. That can mean so many different things. But one thing I would like to bring up is, and I'm going to dive on in. One thing, I don't talk about politics on the show, but I'll talk about voting, because I think a lot of us place our votes based upon what we were taught, what our parents did, what our grandparents did, what our family did. I don't think some people go out there and actually do the research on who they want to vote for. So I think that's a tradition. Maybe, maybe not. Somebody correct me. Make sure y'all comment, put it out there. Let people know we're streaming on YouTube tonight. Who's watching? I see we got a few viewers. Who's watching tonight? Introduce yourselves and tell us where you are from. So, I can say Angela, right? Mm-hmm. Angela, how do you feel about the whole voting thing? Do you think people actually vote based upon who their parents voted for? Like, I'm voting Democrat because mom was straight Democrat.
I think they do. I think people of color vote based upon what everyone else says around them. Mm-hmm. They go with what everyone else does and what their parents did. And at one point, I did that because I didn't know really what politics was all about. I didn't know about the different parties. I didn't know independent. I didn't really look into what these parties stood for, how they came about, look at some of the bills they put out there, look at the House of Representatives, the legislative, the Senate. I didn't do any of that. I didn't even know much about what it was about. So this past year, 2020 election, the whole year I started going to Congress.gov website.
Okay, you was doing your research.
I would go at least once a week to the website just to see what new bills are out there, who's voted what senators out of my state voted towards it, who voted against it, how does it resonate with me and my family. And
April says she disagrees.
She disagrees. Well,
you can go ahead and call in April.
I'm not ashamed to say that, I didn't vote one straight party. I voted based upon what
they stood
identified
for, what actually represented you. Can I say it that way?
What represented me and what I identify with and their views. So, I wouldn't say I'm a straight party type of person. I voted for President Donald Trump. I mean, that's just my opinion. I voted for him because of some of the bills and things that he put out there. No one knows this. You go by what the news puts out there. But then if you go do your research, you will find out that ain't so according to Congress.gov. Congress.gov is going to give you the truth and nothing but the truth. So, and then locally, I voted for Jamie Harris as one I can remember. And, so I didn't vote a straight party. One's Republican, one's Democrat. So I voted based upon what I felt identified with me. And people say, well, why did you vote for him? And he's this and he's that. I said, well, prove it. Where did you get that information from? Well, the news, I said the news. Now let's go to Congress.gov. What bills did he sign? What things did he put in place for us to have? I said, and another thing I want to point out was, even with all these grants and these loans and this stimulus money that's out here, he was the one that initially wrote these things into it so that the government can give this money out to people. Okay. So he was the one that put these things in perspective. He signed off on this stuff. See, they don't know. They don't know that part. You got people that are small business owners. They're now coming in corporation because of him. But they don't realize that he set this out here. He was a businessman. So, of course, he wanted business to grow. So then these people that got these small businesses, be thankful. Because if he wouldn't have did that, you would have never had a start.
That pandemic would have messed a lot of people up without this extra money. April, what do you disagree on?
I disagree that I don't believe that it's tradition that is the reason why we vote Democrat. I vote Democrat because of what the person deliver or what have you. So I go by what I see and what I believe in and my feelings towards that person. However, I don't fault anyone. It's everybody's opinion on how they feel about a certain person or which way they want to vote. But if I know you don't want to turn it into politics.
No, I don't. I don't at all. But go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask a question. What was Miss Ryan's feelings upon the riot?
The riots, like when they went to the Capitol on Capitol Hill.
When they went to Capitol Hill, what was her?
What were your views on that?
You mean the ones that were at local government or at the Capitol?
We're talking about the people that actually went in and ambushed.
Oh, Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Hill.
now, all right, so now with that, now I'll say that whole situation, and maybe this is me looking at this. The way I look at it, people are going to do what people want to do regardless. And I feel like that was not appropriate to start with.
Right.
No, I do not per se agree with that whatsoever. I really don't. And reason being, people could have gotten hurt. We still have COVID-19. So, they committed a crime. I don't side with criminals, period. So that whole thing.
We're talking about the same president that told people to take bleach.
And I'll say this. A lot of times, some things you have to take with a grain of salt, and a lot of times he says things, he has said things to take with a grain of salt. He's like, I didn't think people were literally
go and
do that, so, he's even put that out there after the fact to straighten out some of the things that he
what
said.
kind of leader would say something, and I'm going to call it jokey because that's exactly what it is, because you can't take him serious, would say something like that. But back to the topic of
tradition.
Of tradition, no, my answer is I would have to disagree. I don't believe that it's a tradition to vote Democrat because I was raised in a Democratic household. I just go by what the people preach, because sometimes you have more than one Democrat running for office.
Let me ask you this, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me ask y'all this: church. Do people actually stay within the religion or continue to go to the same type of church just because they were brought up in that type of church, in that type of environment? If I went to, what is it called, April? What is that church called that we did when we were little? Is it a holiness church?
Sanctified church.
A holiness church.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
do people actually still, as adults, go to those type of churches because that's how they grew up?
I would say no, because I experienced it. And I would call it well-rounded, because I know you might be too young to remember, but we started off actually in church in
Pentecostal?
No, in what you call the white people church?
Catholic?
Yeah, we started off in a Catholic church because our dad was Catholic.
I never knew that.
In a Catholic church, we were surrounded by white or Caucasian people is the correct term. I do apologize. Surrounded by Caucasian people. I also went to the Baptist church with grandma. So I had a multicultural. I went to Catholic church. I went to Baptist church. Granddaddy was part of Methodist church. Mama was part of a holiness church. So, and then when I got older, what have you, I ended up going to a Episcopal church, a non-denomination church, where it was a mixed crowd and everything. So I had a different mixture of different religions, and now a lot of people may judge me because I don't attend church at all. However, I do believe in a higher power.
I agree.
I do pray all the time, a number of times throughout the day.
So wait, let me ask you this. Look, every time you talk, it makes me think of something. When we say pray, does that necessarily mean praying to God or praying to just a higher power?
It's just praying.
Period. You get what I'm saying?
We believe in God, but it's a higher power. We don't know who it is or what it is. All we know is it's a higher power.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
So I pray to whoever it is I know is listening to me and is able to answer my prayers. And to me, God is all different colors, just like we all different races. We have Jehovah, we have Buddhists, we have all different things. And to me, it's all the same thing. It's the higher power.
I agree 100%.
I would like to respond back to what you said, April, about the thing with churches. Well, and I kind of agree with you because, you know, tradition had me starting off in Baptist. My mom went there. My grandma went there. You know, the family, they practically said the family ran the church.
Yeah.
It's always those church families. My family's one of those families that ran the church. We were on the deacon board. We were on the treasury. We were on the choir. My cousin was the pastor. You know, it was like 2-3 families ran the church. And my family was one of those. So as I gotten older, you know, and I started to venture out myself, I learned more. It was more to it than just saying you're Christian and you're Baptist.
Right.
There's Methodist, there's AME, there's Holiness, there's Pentecostal, there's Churches of Latter-day Saints, Seventh-day Adventists. It's so many different other denominations that come in it, and it's non-denomination.
Right.
So in the midst of it, I kind of researched all of it, and I was curious because I wanted to know. I said, I know that there is a higher being,
Right.
I know they all have that in common of their belief. However, I wanted to know which is the truth. Even with Jehovah's Witnesses, I wanted to know whose story is actually the true story. Well, I come to the conclusion that
it's your beliefs.
So what conclusion you came to?
My conclusion was everybody's story is composed of one, but however, who's to say that the names and different people they put out here for us to say these are these people actually given names. These are these people who do not say that they all got together way before when and said, hey, we're going to put the top of here for religion, and this is how we're going to do this. We got Christianity, we got Catholicism, we got Judaism, we got Buddha, you know, put them up there and say, these are the 4 main religions of the world. Which one do you want your group of people to fall into?
Because it had to fall from somewhere.
And, you know, now I don't attend church, and I'm happy to say that I don't. The way I look at it, I always say church is not the building, it's a people. So it's whatever that you can congregate and have that communion and be with people of like-mindedness and talk about those things.
Yep.
You don't have to be in a building because now you're taking something and closing it up, and it's supposed to be way more bigger than that. Now
you're thinking like who's over the church. I hate to say it that way, but now you're thinking like that individual. You're not like individualizing yourself. I'm about to run out, y'all. What's another?
I'm going to tell y'all a true story. What made me the person that I am now and made me lean towards my beliefs that I believe now is my experiences within the church. And that goes back to the tradition, like the tradition with the Baptists or what have you, you know, where they praise, they jump, they do all kind of stuff, which is similar to the Holiness Church. But the Holiness Church is more stricter. You're not supposed to dance to regular music. You're not supposed to
are they the one that wear skirts?
Out of wedlock, all these different rules or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, what made me change my mind is no one is perfect. Who are you to judge?
Right.
And I was judged. I got pregnant out of wedlock. I couldn't participate on the choir anymore. It was like I was shunned. None of the other girls would talk to me anymore. It was their parents told them not to talk to me because I was a bad influence. I mean, it was just a number of different things that I experienced in the different churches. However, I view the church as being like a hospital. Nobody is perfect. You go to church in order to heal yourself and find your truths, not to go there and be judged.
Right. I agree.
That's absolutely correct. You know, April, I can agree with that. And you're right. And that's why I said, you know, it's what you make it, because you have these officials. And I had a bad experience too. It's not a coincidence that people can speak more on bad experiences than good experiences
in the church,
because it's like they're taking it, have a man or a woman, but you have man. It's general as human. Saying man is saying you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you should live this way, you should live that way. But they're not going to tell you
what
past.
They're doing.
No, they're not going to tell you their past or their present.
I went to church. I started going to a church. I'm not going to say any names, but I started going to the church. And that time that I did visit the church, the preacher was his sermon was about alcohol, drinking, and you know all this. Different things, the negative things about alcohol and everything. And come to find out,
he was an alcoholic?
Yeah, you drink. So who are you to get up in the pulpit and preach to me about
drinking?
And you do it on the weekend?
So let me ask y'all this. How well do the congregation, look at be talking like I'm a preacher. How well do the congregation know the preacher, know the pastor, know the bishop?
They only
Get
know what
well.
they say.
You only know what they tell you, right?
I'm no preacher, but I do find myself preaching a lot to individuals. And what I have found is the ones that actually had a life and have sinned.
And be real
according to
about
the book, they call it, sinning, can actually relate to people and help them to help
Absolutely.
deliver them and heal them, because they have walked in those shoes before and they know what you're going through. Besides judging me, they know what I'm feeling and
Absolutely.
what I'm going through.
And that's
And
how I
they
feel about
help
counselors too.
someone that talk negative towards me and judge me and never experience some of the things that I've experienced.
Absolutely. And I feel that way about the therapists, the counselors, the psychiatrists, or whatever. If you life coaches, if you've been motivational speakers, you've been there. I can relate to you more than likely. I am going to take heed of what you're saying. I'm going to listen. I'm going to try to, take your advice, as opposed to somebody who's never even been in my walk of life, can't even relate to me. What the hell do you know? Why am I sitting here listening to you and you don't know?
It is unrealistic expectations.
Right.
And whenever someone gives you information, whether it's the pastor, the life coach, the counselor, the motivational speaker, you don't have to take everything.
Right.
You take what
resonates to you.
What resonates to you, and where are you at?
That's the truth.
And you take it and you utilize it. That's really all preaching is, to be perfectly
It's
honest
a
with you.
family tradition.
But that goes back to
But that's when we start our own tradition.
Correct. Now I agree with that.
Children, I don't try to instill in them my bad experiences, because they may not have the same experiences that I've had in the church. So they're more than welcome to go to whatever church they want to, and I will let my child go with friends or family members, which they have. If he want to go to church, he's more than welcome to go to church. I don't talk anything negative, because like I said, what I experience, he may not experience.
right.
However, my tradition is we have church in the house. We have church at home. My kids feel free to preach and say whatever is on their mind to help them heal and to help them deliver. Now, just because they're going through something, because I go through it all the time about my daughter being a lesbian.
Is that your first time you said that publicly?
No, that's not the first time. I speak on it all the time, especially when I come in the presence of someone that feel comfortable to express how they feel about it.
Right.
It doesn't bother me. That's my child. I love her regardless. I birthed her.
Right.
Now, I can't live her life. She has to do, and this is exactly what I told my daughter, she has to do what makes her happy.
Remind me to say
She
something
has
when you
to live
finish.
that life. I can't live her life for her. So if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. And I accept whatever it is, as long as she's being safe, not breaking any laws, and not hurting anybody.
That's right.
So let me ask y'all this. Speaking of lesbians or just whatever, homosexuals or whatever you want to call it, do you feel that, okay, let's say, our parents or whatever, that was just wrong. You get what I'm saying? That's not acceptable. You're not going to do it. I don't accept it. The devil is a liar. We're going to beat this out of you. What have you? Do you think that trickled down to their children, to where if their grandchildren, you get what I'm saying? Like I'm going to use myself for an example.
If you're that quick on that child and you shun that child for being or having that kind of, feelings towards the opposite sex, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that relationship with your child, and they're going to grow up and do what they want to do.
No, what I'm saying is, do you think it's possible that, okay, you shun your child, and that child have a child, let's say they're still in the closet. You get what I'm saying? Let's say they didn't open up because mama and daddy didn't accept it. So now they got kids that are gay. Do you think they will shun their children just because they were shunned and living? You know how men live down low all the time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they will handle the situation in a different way.
They should. Yeah. It should have been. It will be an opportunity for growth, and it also be an opportunity for them to be themselves, and they can be able to be openly talk to their child about it. Say, "I'm
believe it or not, many of us live through our children."
Let me ask y'all this, and this is so off topic, but since that came, I seen a commercial. It was a Geico commercial where it was 2 men at the head of the table. and there are 2 kids. They were a homosexual relationship and they had children. I had someone inbox me a while ago for me to speak on that. They don't feel it's right that it's being normalized, from the reality shows. Now we got it on commercials. What are y'all thoughts on that?
In my opinion, I just feel like 2-parent household is just what it is.
A 2-parent household.
2-parent household. If they are nurturing that child, they're instilling good things into them, good virtues.
Then they won't think I got to do what mama do.
They're being honest with them. They're telling them about life. That child is not being abused emotionally, physically, mentally, or sexually. That child is not forced to think a certain kind of way or behave a certain kind of way. My opinion, I see nothing wrong with it because it's still a 2-parent household, and regardless of whether it's same sex or opposite, the point is that child is still not being hurt in any way.
You
can have a 2-parent household, a mother and a father,
in
a male
toxic
and a
relationship,
female, and it's toxic, and that child is being damaged emotionally because they're not happy with themselves, and the environment is negative. Versus the male and the male could very well have a positive environment. They have good careers. They're setting their kids up for the future. They're spending time. That they're there showing they're actually raising their child.
Children.
They're not letting their child just grow up on their own.
What you say, April?
Exactly. I agree with Angela. Who, and it goes all back to judging. Who are you to judge me? Because I decide the opposite sex to raise a child in, but yet you beating your wife. Is that a healthy household?
Let me ask y'all this, and I just want to put it out there. That's a tradition thing. Yeah. But okay, does it come for an individual to be concerned that their children are seeing this stuff? Is it now saying, and y'all know on here, I just say whatever the hell I feel I need to say, and then somebody will correct me or whatever. But I don't even know how to say it. It's when I say it. Do y'all feel like, okay, I am raising my child right, so they know not to be a follower? You get what I'm saying? They know not to say, okay, there's 2 women, together on this commercial. Maybe I should be with a woman. You get what I'm saying? Or there's 2 men. Maybe is it a part of how you're raising your child as well? Or if they're gonna be gay, they're gonna be gay.
They're gonna be gay.
If they like the same sex, they like the same
that's just
sex.
irregardless.
That's just irregardless.
I'm going to say this because this is a theory that I've always said. 9 times out of 10, we never get examined all the way through. So who's to say that that child is a hermaphrodite at birth?
Correct.
You wouldn't know. They can have the opposite body parts that just not haven't developed, but they're inside. If you never get sick, how would you know?
That's deep. Yeah, that's true.
Everybody and nobody wants
starts off. What you about to say?
What you gonna say?
No, you go ahead. You
no,
you in the middle. I'm talking mental health. You in the health world. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if I recall correctly, everyone starts off as a
male.
Yeah, as a male. If I want to make sure I had it right. Every fetus starts off as a male, and then the female parts go inside and become the ovaries and the vagina and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then the male parts come out and be the penis and the testes.
Is that why they say you gotta check your son to make sure they dropped?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I don't know. What's that?
They tell you to check their testicles to make sure they're thin because they're so small and underdeveloped. So you do gotta constantly make sure that they're there. If not, you have to go in and kind of massage them to make sure. And then if not, they got to seek medical help.
Right.
But it's this country it was in Brazil, and I watched this documentary like a couple of years ago, and it talked about how that one of that population, that area, for some reason, all their children are born with a penis. I don't know. Ask me why.
Wait a minute now.
Everybody.
Are they boys or they girls?
Or they start off as a girl and it's small and then it
grows.
And they don't know the child's gender really until they start getting into early childhood development.
And their ways.
And correct. And when maybe around between 7 and 10 years old, between that time frame and going into puberty, if it extends out, they're a boy.
What?
So it was a little girl because they thought she was a girl. It was just normal, and then they noticed it kept growing. It kept growing, and they realized this is a boy. So when she got 10, Mama cut her hair off because she could tell it's a boy, and she became a boy because she had the part. So with that being said, what if her mindset was raised as a girl, but she got this boy part? Because now she got this boy part. Now she has to be a boy. But that is an anomaly that doesn't happen everywhere. But it's something genetic.
That's something genetic, something going on
in that particular area. It's just that one small little village in Brazil. It's nowhere else. So
because they did some type of scientific project on them. I hate to say it. I'm not gonna do it. Wow. That was like, wow. That's like a disease. That's like some type of, I don't know.
It's a genetic abnormality.
Wow.
I mean, that's what it is. And I didn't believe this was real until I was like, no, this is real. This is a documentary.
Yeah, that's real.
So, that's another thing we can talk about tradition. What do they say? If you want to hide something from somebody, you put it in a book or you put it somewhere where they got to read it and research it. No one wants to watch documentaries. No one wants to do the research. No one wants to read books. And, I just have to say people of color, to me, that is a major holdback.
It is.
For us. And,
it is.
And then, to me, you know why they don't read? Because their mindset is traditional.
It takes too long?
Their mindset is in a traditional mindset where they were taught they weren't supposed to read.
What? Now, Angela, you lost me with that one now.
Think about it.
I have to agree because I read.
No, listen what I'm saying, April. I'm not saying everybody. What I'm saying is years ago, way beforehand, what I'm saying is like in the beginning when they said that people of color were brought here on ships.
Right.
And then they were owned as property. No, what I'm
because
saying.
a lot of tradition, back in the days, it was against the law for a slave to read.
That's why
she said that's
tradition.
I'm
saying that tradition that they
get reading a book, they would get punished.
Right.
Because they were gaining knowledge.
Right.
They were gaining knowledge.
So now it's not against the law.
Same thing with the Jim Crow era.
Right.
With voting and everything, and they're bringing that back right now.
And guess what's happening, April?
If you can recite the Constitution by sight, then you would be able to
learn that in school.
You don't even know the Constitution by sight.
We had to learn that or something. We had to learn something in school.
Parts of it. But see, April, that's what I was saying. The tradition part of
they got disconnected. I don't know what happened. Okay.
April.
Yes.
Yeah, like I was saying, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. The tradition part, we don't have those boundaries that's going to hold us back anymore. But some of us of color are still bounded with that. They're not even trying to cross it. They won't vote. They'll tell you they ain't voting. What am I voting for?
Right. Ain't that gonna change?
You know, once again, I'm going to have to kind of disagree with you on that again, because if you look at it, a lot of our children are being raised by their grandparents or great grandparents, and that's what they're used to.
That's what's tradition.
Go out there, you better not say
y'all
nothing.
saying the same thing.
We are. You just adding on to what I'm saying. That's why I say tradition.
Seeing it in a different way.
Yeah. We're saying the same thing. That's why I say tradition has held us back. You know, as a community of people of color, because there's still is so much being instilled in them. And here's another thing: tradition. You got grandparents still raising their children's children, which is nothing wrong with it. Everybody's situation is different. However, if you have the opportunity to birth your child into this world, if you ain't sick and you financially stable, and you're in your right state of mind, it's no excuse why you can't say, you know what, I need to teach my child.
Right.
Because you knew what was instilled upon you traditionally, how to do things, and you knew the stuff wasn't right. But then you still gonna let mama go raise your daughter, and then you mad because your daughter dealing with the same stuff you dealt with.
We're changing the subject a little bit. If I know I'm not a fit parent and my child will have a better lifestyle, what's wrong with my mother or whatever raising that child if I know that I'm going to mess that child up mentally because I'm not stable?
When you say not stable, what do you mean? Your mindset.
It could be financially.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
It could be anything, any reason. Emotionally, it could be any reason, and it doesn't have to be planned. But you made the decision to keep that child, to give that child life. However, you know that you're not fit, and that's the same thing with adoption. I don't see anything wrong with it, and in some cases,
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
It's a blessing that you realize it's enough that you are not fit. Financially or what have you. So you allow the child to be raised by somebody that can deliver and can give that child a happy home.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. So I say, if they're not ill for his mental illness or physical illness, financially stable, we said the same thing.
Yeah.
Then like I said, if you don't have none of that stuff going on and you just want to go live your life and be free from a child, and you're not dealing with, it's different if you're dealing with issues.
That's another one of our traditions. We raise each other's children with no problem, and we don't believe in getting paperwork.
You're right.
Ooh, you're
absolutely right. And then when things get tough, money situations, family inheritance, then later on you want your child back, you can't get mad. When the mama want the child because you didn't do the paperwork.
When the child get ready to go to school or what have you, and you don't have any documentation to show that child is yours, then, what you gonna do?
You're right.
You're right about that.
That's why I say it's so much in our culture that it's so based off of tradition, and then you can't, when you want to sit and put this information out here, very few want to hear it.
Very few want to hear it. Very few want to hear the truth. That's why people don't want to tune in on Friday nights, because they don't like to hear the truth.
It's vanity. They're very vain about a lot of things.
Look at me. I was like, how do you want to run out? I was going to take it to a whole nother level, but I'm not doing that tonight.
So, it's a true statement. These are conversations that
need to be had.
Because you got some chains that need to be broken, some mindsets.
Is that the same thing as breaking generational curses?
It is.
Because I never understood that. At first, I never understood that statement. Like,
it's a lot of generational curses, in the culture. It's a lot of them. And that goes back to and this is my opinion, but I read up on it, so tell me if you agree or disagree. That goes back to the black man and the black woman not being in their proper places in a household. You look at any other culture, you have the man, financially.
But let me ask you this.
And then
why is that?
Well,
are we placing blame on any particular? Are we placing blame on any person in a relationship?
No.
Or it's just an equal type of nobody know their place?
Nobody knows their place. It ain't blame. Nobody knows their position.
I'm going to turn.
I know my position. I just haven't found the one who will allow me to play that role. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I want to turn the conversation a little bit left.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about, believe it or not, well, not believe it or not, but in the case, it's a lot of single black mothers that's raising sons.
Okay.
We are enabling them.
We are. I agree.
At the end of the day, most of us forget we are a woman.
Elaborate, because I'm missing it. Elaborate for me.
That toxic information in your son's head on how to mistreat a female.
Oh, no.
And at the end of the day, you forget you're a female.
Wait a minute now. Give me a scenario. Give me a scenario.
Huh?
Give me a scenario on that one, because I can't see somebody bad mouthing.
The mama's boy is a scenario. April, I told her
the scenario is a man gonna be a man. That's the number one issue right there. Yeah. What exactly is a man? Because what I
that mean they can dog people out,
and they're not realizing they're putting it out there.
What I witnessed is a man to be a man. A man sit there and take care of the house. A man be a father.
That's it.
I didn't get that from my own father, but I got that from my grandfather. He took care of that house regardless of what happened or what have you. He respected her and he took care of that household.
Right.
Those kids didn't need for anything or didn't want for anything.
Right.
Versus, let her do it. Oh, no. You giving her too much.
Oh, got you.
Spend all your money.
Got you.
Let her get out there and do this and do that.
That's right.
So
got you.
That's right. But April, you're right. And they don't want to play their role.
That makes a lot of sense.
You absolutely
And I have no
100%
problem with having a job, but he having a job as well. And I've had this conversation so many times with different men. You expect it to be 50-50. You expect me to have a job as well to contribute to the household. But exactly what it is that you're doing, because I'm giving 80, you giving 20. Yeah, you got a job, I got a job,
That's
but
right.
then you expect me to wash your clothes.
That's
you
it.
expect me to give you sex when you want it.
That's right.
You expect me to take care of you when you're sick. You
That's
expect
right.
me to have your food ready for you. But what are you giving me?
April, it sounds like to me, and that's why I said they don't know their position, because they want to say, "Oh, I'm supposed to do this," but then the roles flip around where the woman is putting more forward than him.
It's the mothers that's instilling that in that man instead of telling that man, "Look, you make sure that woman is happy. If she washing your drawers, she's out there working, she contributing bills, she taking care of kids, she taking care of you. She doing her job, you do yours.
That's right.
Making sure she's happy and she's taken care of.
That's right.
Return the favor. But a lot of us don't do that.
You are absolutely 100% correct. But lo and behold, we have these conversations with our men of color. They're going to look at us. Some of them may agree with, no, I'm supposed to take care of
you know what
things.
it is? When they look at a female doing that, oh, she too independent for me.
That's right.
Why wouldn't you want someone that can, hold her own? Why do you not want an equal partner?
At the end of the day, you showing me that you really don't need me. If you can't contribute to at least half of what I'm doing and make me happy and deliver the same thing that I'm doing, then what do I need you for? So now you feel threatened. Right. Because I'm giving you an ultimatum and letting you know what it is that I want, because I'm in that position, I can do that.
And that's where the problem coming at. So now it goes back to what you said. These women putting stuff in the boy's head, and it started, like you said, a woman cannot raise a man because of situations like that. And we don't know. And I'm saying as a black woman, we don't know that.
Staying in a woman place, we're not supposed to speak. We're not supposed to be around other males when he has company. We're supposed to walk with our head down and not look at another man eye to eye or speak to another man with force because we disagree what he's saying or what he's delivering to us. That right there is considered an independent woman in my book. But in other words, with some men view it as disrespect.
And it's tradition. And that's a lot of the problems, once again, in the people of color's culture, because they're basing things off of.
Denise said that's how she was raised, but she wanted better.
I just feel like she was raised how?
Denise, elaborate a little bit. You mean as far as what? Elaborate just a little bit. Lameek said yes, April.
The thing about it is, women, it's so much pressure, that if you think about what you do in a course of a day, you get up. Let's say if you the type of wife or a girlfriend or whatever to get up and cook breakfast before you start your day, you might have
cook breakfast
a lot of stuff on your mind. Like we're not supposed to be overwhelmed but not realizing like we in a reverse role now, because now we get up, we cook breakfast, we make sure kids get up ready for school,
make sure they got their lunch bag.
They got their lunch bag. We make sure we get dressed and go to work.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to work.
Listen, let me stop. That's what I'm about to say. Let me stop you, because we probably ain't making it work. Or while we at work, a kid gets sick. Guess who got to get off to go get that kid? Guess who take them to the doctor?
The mama. And then when you come home, in the midst of all of that, between work, child
you better have some dinner cooked.
You got to come home. You got to probably do laundry, clean up a little bit, have dinner cooked. All he did was go to work
and
work by himself.
He went to work. He came home and took a shower, and he ready to eat
and sit down.
His plate in the microwave.
And all he did was worry about self. But during the day, you had to worry about 5 people.
Yeah.
But then when you want to talk emotionally, you want to talk because you need somebody to talk to. They're supposed to be your helpmeet. They're supposed to be your confidant. They're supposed to be your friend. They're supposed to be there. They don't even have the energy to let you express how you feeling. And now you feeling like, who am I supposed to talk to? Yeah. So then you get mad and you get boisterous. Now you're sassy.
Yeah.
Now you're
nagging.
Your mouth. And not realizing like, I got a lot going on just like you. But I just need your time and attention to just help me out a little bit. Yeah. I just need to talk to you.
That's why I applaud the single dads, that I have run across in this past couple years.
They doing it.
They doing the damn
thing. But they know now.
They definitely know. So yeah, I agree. It's what we instill in our boys. And I try so hard to instill the right thing in Khalid. I don't say Monty too much because he's not really there yet, as far as wanting to buy somebody something and this and that. But me and Khalid have conversations. And what I tell him is, I'm not gonna sit here. I contradict myself, but I'm not buying this girl something, that girl something, that girl. I'm not doing that.
But you're holding him to standards, though.
You got a girlfriend, that's your girlfriend. Let's get her something for Valentine's Day. But I'm not doing all this. I'm not doing that.
You're teaching him the right thing. You're teaching him the
Right,
right thing.
Giving him,
Because
you
at the
setting
end of the day,
standards.
and you wouldn't want your male or whoever, your man or whoever you're dating, to bring home several different women and mom, and then mom treat you like you're the only one.
Right.
But then on the flip side, that's why I say I contradict myself. Kylie, you're young. You too young to be talking about you're with this girl, you love her, you're about to go to college. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I just be kind of.
You may as well just preach the fact of stay single until you're ready, and just stay on that
line.
line.
Got you.
You know, like just live your life and be respectful and be safe about everything you do. But don't mention no one to me that's my girlfriend, because
that's what I told him. If you mention
ready,
it to me, that's your girlfriend.
Right.
That's the only
and that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
But if you know that's not going to be the case, you keep that to yourself, but you be safe at what you do until you're ready to make a commitment.
Now, am I wrong for using scenarios that the kids are aware of when it comes to dad take this as a learning opportunity? That's not who you want to be. You get what I'm saying? Like, I take that, I use those things that they are aware of. I don't instill anything in their head. But if there's something that is in front of them, something that they are aware of, I do make that a learning opportunity.
Well, I think that you're not wrong for that, but a lot of times they already know. They know it without you having to say it. So they pay it. They're very observant. They're more observant than what we think they are. So they pay attention, and they.
So I don't need to reiterate.
No, they feed off. To be honest with you, they feed off of their mama's energy, and that's why, like what April said, we cannot raise a man. We can't. And so it's.
But
like,
we have no choice.
We have no choice. But what we can do in the process is to, that's why we have mentors and we have those other people.
I would have to disagree with that. I never said that a woman can't raise a man.
We're not saying it. I'm not saying it that way. I mean, like instilling those things in them.
And this is an argument that we've had all the time within our family. Because one of my aunts always states a woman cannot raise a man. No, I cannot show a man.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
That another man can show him. However, I can show him how to survive, how to treat a woman, and how to take care of himself the way he don't have to depend on nobody else. You
give him the basic
necessities. As it comes to different things that men experience, no, I can't, because I'm not a man and I never experienced. However, I feel that I can give him the qualities to be a decent man.
You can, and that's why you gave him the necessities to function as a black man. Now he got to take it, what you gave him, and build onto that.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm going to tell you a quick story real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I was riding with my son. He just got his license. He had his wallet up on the dashboard. So I'm like, boy, why you got your wallet on the dashboard? You don't do that. Well, mama, I got it up there just in case I get stopped by the police. I don't have to reach. That's something I've experienced before.
And because of what's going on right now in the world, in America, and some of the police brutality towards the men of color and people of color, that's what the news and everyone's putting out there to say that, hey, this is what's going on. The news can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, because sometimes
they tell us what they want us to know.
They tell us what they want us to know, but sometimes they put information out there that we do need to know. So what that has done is instilled fear into these young black men. Not only them, it instilled fear into law enforcement, because these young black men are in fear of getting hurt. So what they're going to do is try to protect themselves. Yeah. And these law enforcement, what they're going to do, they're going to try to protect themselves and go even harder. So it's like everybody's in fear. When you put this fear out here, what do you have? Calamity and chaos. Yep. Because it's fear put out there instead of someone coming and mediate and say, no, we need to sit down. Let's talk about this. We need to come to a common ground, because if there's laws that these law enforcement have to abide by, and there are new things that they're putting out there about unnecessary force, police brutality, these things are going to Congress. To sit down and say, no, we need to put this in perspective so they can understand, yeah, you are an officer of the law, but however, if you do this, this, and this, you can be charged as a criminal as the next person. Absolutely. So, I feel like now we're finally to that point where someone sat down and said, this has went on long enough. because the criminals, you know, you commit a crime when you're doing what you're doing. You know what you ain't supposed to have a gun. You know you ain't supposed to have a weapon. You know these things.
Right.
Now the law enforcement knows, okay, well, if they don't got none of those things going on, they're not an immediate threat, then I can't use unnecessary force. I can't be unnecessarily brutal because they're not doing anything. And that's where the lines have been drawn. And I feel like now, this year going into 2022, it's going to be a lot of changes. Things to me are in a better place going forward, you know, because it has been some lines been drawn, but then people got to go and read and know these things out here. They got to know what's out there to protect them.
That's the truth.
Because if you don't know your laws, then you don't know what's going to protect you. Listen, how can you speak on it?
That goes back to the topic, tradition. Because if I'm one who don't like the pigs, who don't like the popos, who don't like 12, I'm instilling in my child, fuck the police. Exactly. You get what I'm saying?
That's my point.
Fuck the police. So of course tradition is all over.
You instilling that in your child, but you ain't telling your child, go check your laws. Go find out your rights. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 60s and 50s, these black folk, let me tell you something about these folk back here. These folk, to me, were better people than we could ever be. And I'm saying it this way because these people read up on their rights. They read up on their laws. Like, they was up to par on a lot of stuff. That's how they got the right to vote. Right. Yeah. That's how they got the right to do our civil rights leaders and all that stuff. Yeah. That's how they got the right to do a lot of things and open up the things for us. And now guess what we doing?
Not reading it.
We ain't reading it. We ain't want to advance no more.
We don't even stick together right
exactly.
now.
Exactly.
Mentality.
Exactly.
We don't stick together.
Exactly. So, you know, that part of tradition, I respect that. Those ones that fought for us to have those rights. Now, that part of tradition.
They were together.
They were together. The household was the man and the woman. They knew their place. That man took care of them kids.
He took care. Listen, April, what? Grandma didn't know how to do what when Granddaddy died?
She didn't know how to write out a check.
Ain't know how to write out a check because Grandma never had to worry about nothing because he took care of everything.
He knew his place.
And Grandma knew her place.
But she made sure he had breakfast every morning, and his lunch was packed, and his dinner was on the table when he got home. And
that's right. And she was soft spoken and kept her mouth shut, and she talked when he.
And see, and this gonna be a next conversation. Just like Angela said, somebody would have took offense to she kept her mouth shut. She was soft spoken. Guess what? Y'all wouldn't hear her mouth. She was a lady because he treated her as such.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Exactly. You're not gonna hear our mouth. We're not going to nag you. We're not going to do all this, that, and the third because we have no reason to.
Be soft-spoken. Behind closed doors is when she
has her voice. She know how to speak. She spoke to her husband when she needed to behind closed doors.
Absolutely. She knew when to do it.
Because everybody knew their places. See, they like to talk about how back then the woman did all these things.
Right.
But these black men need to know. You need to know what your role is.
Yep.
Why these black women did what they did. They didn't leave their kids now. That's one thing. Like my grandparents, both up to my grandparents, my granddaddy had 22 kids. He never, his first wife died. He married my grandma. He never left his wife and kids. I don't care how hard it got. He planted, he sharecropped, he sold cattle, he sold livestock, he did whatever. My grandma sold.
They were hard workers.
He did whatever to take care of his kids.
What?
And the same thing
That's
both
what they
said
do.
of my grandparents. My grandparents, I never heard neither one of my granddaddies raise their voice. I never heard my grandma raise their voice. I never heard any of that. And even when I look at my parents, despite, going into the centuries after the fact, my parents, it was a 2-parent household. My dad, regardless of what he did, so we had food, we had clothes, he paid majority of the bills. My mama paid one bill, the light bill, and she brought us clothes and took care of us. That's the only thing he asked her to do. Everything else, he did it. My dad basically took care of my bills till I was 25 years old. He paid.
I know.
He did a lot. That's what I'm saying.
Like that no more, man.
Comparison, and on top of that, my dad went to work every day. My mom had him breakfast. When he went to work, he came home. He came outside, got my brothers. They cut grass. They landscape. Then they came in. My mom had the food cooked. My mom had the clothes washed, had everything ready to go. I commend her from doing that because he did his part.
Right.
But no one can go and do the things that she did when the man ain't holding his own.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's hard to do that because my mom, when she got sick and couldn't work, he took care of everything and it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem for him.
Because
I ain't talking
everybody
about
doing
few
their part.
months.
You get
This
what I'm
was
saying?
like a year or two that he held everything
Everything.
and 3 kids household. He did.
So y'all realize after everything we just discussed, this tradition stuff, we don't carry on the good tradition.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
That's the
we
good
don't
part.
carry on the good tradition. For some reason, it just stray away into all this negativity.
Right.
I don't understand
We carrying the negative part.
We carrying the negative
but
part.
we're not carrying on the good part where people actually know their roles in the household.
Right.
And that's why the homes are the way they are. That's why the kids are the way they are, because the homes are not, everything starts in the home.
Yeah.
I don't care
what nobody say.
The home don't know their boundaries. If you know
That's
you're
right.
a side chick, stay in a side chick place.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I tell you what though, back then, if they had a child chick, you never knew about it.
He had a child down the street.
You wouldn't know, because she stayed in her position. But I tell you what though, regardless of what, that man took care of both them households.
He took care of
So
both.
I mean, at the end of the day, granted that ain't good, but I just call it what it is. The fact of the matter is that man knew his position.
Some of these men out here doing what the old folk used to do, and they can't do it. You're not holding up your end of the bargain.
You know, you want to have a couple of chicks, but then you ain't financially.
You can't financially, and that's what I be saying. Look, well, y'all know how we doing Friday night, y'all. We go all over the place. Y'all can't sit here and feel y'all can be like great granddaddy or granddaddy and have a woman here and another woman here. If you ain't financially set, if you're not taking care of both households, you can't do it. No woman even should give you the damn pleasure if you can't do that.
You know why?
No,
because we got away from what tradition was supposed to be.
Yep.
And first and foremost, when it boiled down to it, that woman that knows she's on the side, she's gonna try her best. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna break this up." So for one, already her mindset ain't right. For two, because his wife had to step outside of her role. So now you're aggravated with her. Now you're going to look for something else. And you need to try to fix what you got going on there. Like realize, like, you know what? What do I need to do for my family? Because I ain't bought this woman. I got kids here. Bump this woman. I need to make sure my kids have a roof over their head. My kids are fed. Whether this woman do it or not. If she don't even ask me for nothing for bills, I'm gonna give it to her. Hey, I got paid this week. My check was $600. Here's $400 for the bills.
Absolutely.
You know, do what you can do for the bills of the kid. A woman ain't got nothing. Ain't nothing to talk about.
Listen,
you can't
a lot of women, or I hear a lot of people speaking about the men that sit under the tree or drink some beers after work or something like that. But 9 times out of 10, and I'm just speculating, I do not know exactly what Angela said. Here's my check, or here's majority of it. I'm about to go sit here and have a few beers with the boys. Yeah, they don't even do that now. They still want to go.
You know
why?
Because they have negative people, they have negative friends. They
don't
instill that. They can't even tell them, say, you know, man, at the end of the day, that's my wife and my kids. Let me make sure they're good first before I do this.
Exactly.
But no, man, you stupid. You give the woman all your money. And mama, his mama with her negative. You don't give no woman all your money.
That's exactly what April said.
That's why I say I would never, what I would tell my sons, because I got 3 of them. But what I would tell them, I wouldn't tell them that. I would say, listen, that's your household. That is your kid. You got to do it. If you're going to marry this woman, make sure that you're going to hold up a bargain. I would tell him that before he even get in a relationship. He's talking about marriage.
Care of everything.
He needs to know if that's going to be your wife, you make sure you take care of your wife. I mean, emotionally, financially, whatever she needs, and she's going to take care of you. Don't come to my house complaining.
Right.
Tradition. Going back to the tradition, there's a lot of people or men in general that cannot accept the fact to where we actually do take care. And I've had this conversation before. If we're lacking and then I pick up your slack, it's an issue.
Are you saying it's an issue with you or with him?
No, just like
it's an issue in the household.
It's an issue with everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times in relationships nowadays, roles reverse.
Oh yeah.
You might have a stay-at-home dad, and you might have a mom that got to go out and work.
Right.
People out that's looking inside, looking outside in, have an issue with that. It works for that couple.
It works for that household.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So because it's not the tradition way, I mean, maybe I don't have the patience that he had with the kids, the potty train.
Absolutely. Because I'm going to be honest, CJ children, and I'm just putting that out there. He raised every goddamn last one of them jokers. And I'm putting it out there. And that's your phone or my phone? Oh, that's your phone. Oh.
I got a question for you with that one.
With me. I didn't know the phone disconnected, but I was saying I'm gonna just put it out there. CJ raised all the children. You get what I'm saying? And okay, maybe I was more educated. Just being real. Maybe I was more educated and can make what he probably could make. I probably doubled that. My job. So instead of letting some abusive or some woman who not gonna love on our kids right go to daycare, guess what? He stayed home with the goddamn kids, and that's just what it is. It worked for us, and my kids grew to just fine. I ain't got no gangbangers. I ain't got no teenage sons with babies. Just putting it out there, not saying nothing wrong with that. But our kids were raised well. You see what I'm saying? So whatever works for your household, fine. It may not be tradition, but I'm not instilling those old ways in my kids. It gotta work. What question you got for me? Amber said she had a question for me.
April. You made your own tradition.
Right.
So I do got a question for you. Yeah. So when it got later on and you wanted to take the back seat, now you want to switch roles.
I created a monster.
You not saying you created a monster, but when it was time to switch roles,
he couldn't do it.
And right.
But sometimes, and let me get to that real quick.
For him to adjust.
Vontrell said he was a provider, took care of his family as well as hung out under the tree with his friends. To my granddaddy. Exactly. Right. You get, I'm not going to say privileges because we're nobody parents,
right.
But you get to do those things when you take care of home.
Right.
But yeah, going back to that situation.
But I really have the man sitting up underneath the tree and providing.
You done right. I ain't going to have nothing to say.
Right.
And everything, and I know what he is.
I ain't going to have nothing to say. But see, it backfired with my tradition because now I'm tired of being the head of the household. I'm ready to sit back and relax. And that's why I keep telling people now, and people think it's funny and games. I'm ready to be submissive. You get what I'm saying? I'm ready to follow. I'm ready for my man to lead me because I'm tired of being the leader. But it ain't men out there like that no more.
Have you ever thought about what he went through? It's just like the empty nest syndrome. A lot of females go through the empty nest syndrome. Your kids got a certain age, all of them started school. He found himself like, what am I going to do with myself now?
I get it, but I'm not feeling sorry for nobody.
No, you're not feeling sorry, but you have to kind of look at it like,
you have to understand.
Yeah, you got to understand like it is a hard shift adjustment for him.
I get it, and guess what?
It was a hard.
I get it. I totally get it. But I'm gonna say this in my defense. Cadence is 12. Monty, it will be 14 on the 20th, and Kali is 16. There was well enough time to adjust. It was well enough time to get it together. So I don't regret nothing I did. I'm glad my kids didn't have to go to daycare. I hate the way things worked out.
So when you initially did that, did y'all go in with a plan and say?
No, there was no communication there. It just happened.
And initially, I'm saying when the kids were coming up, and that maybe would have helped it where it would have planned, and it would say when this one gets this age,
then we're gonna. It would have helped,
right?
But however, I'm gonna say this, and it's almost the hour in. I'm gonna say this. What I've noticed, because the roles did reverse shortly after I had our first child, I was out, for a while, and he was working, but I got things thrown in my face. Remember, I don't know if you remember, we used to play cards and stuff before he would get home. By the time he home, the house was clean, dinner was cool, but he still, I'm the one doing it. It's like he threw it in my face because he felt good about it, but don't throw it up in my face.
But here's my thing though.
I know that's what you're doing. You get what I'm saying?
And but guess what? That was a feel good for him.
It was a feel good, but I ain't like
he needed a pat on the back. And someone needed to tell him you're doing good, man.
I guess I never told him that, huh?
So I'm saying he needed to know that. So being that you may not have given him that verbally, he just took it upon himself to say it. Right.
I'll pay all the bills in this house.
And guess what? We don't want to hear that.
We don't.
We don't want to hear that.
Because I clean. I have your dinner cooked. The kid, so yeah. It's always a rebuttal in some kind of way.
So guess what? When the roles reverse, were you saying that?
I never said that.
Well, that's a good thing.
I never said that. I never made him feel no type of way. However, you ain't about to be out of the house all times of night. Like, you ain't about to do that. That's what the downfall is.
But you gotta think about it. He's been home with the kids all day.
Where do us come in at? I've been to work all day.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It got all misconstrued.
It
worked in the beginning, but it needed to be talked about.
It should have been communication.
And a plan.
And not just, and I'm going to leave y'all with this because it's time for us to get off. Not just communication, but each person have to comprehend.
Correct.
You got to have some type of comprehension, some understanding and stuff, and not, you got to communicate, but do that other person understand where you're coming from? Is there a common ground? Can we agree to disagree? I don't know. But anywho, you guys, I enjoyed tonight. We had a good time. I tried something new tonight. I did not stream on Facebook at all tonight. We went straight to YouTube because I'm trying to build my YouTube up. So make sure you guys share. I really appreciate the engagement. Vontrell, thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. Denise, Lamique, Christopher, Limo Man, and I hope I'm not missing anybody else that commented tonight. Thank you so much. April, Angela, thank y'all for, engaging in this conversation tonight. It could have went left, but we had fun. Huh?
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Tell Tanya I said, hey, y'all have a good night. All right. And as we always say on Let's Sip and Talk with Freema, peace and love. And don't forget to catch Let's Sip and Talk with Freema and friends in Clubhouse on Thursdays nights at 10 p.m. Y'all have a good night. Thank you guys for tuning in. I wish everybody the best in whatever they are. Keep it pushing.